Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. One of the things that I always want to emphasize with you all when making these videos about velocity banking, that it's so easy. Um, I can do this all day, and that was an excuse to quote Captain America. And I think this is from Captain America Civil War. So let's just take a look here at our channel analytics. And one of the things I'm really like kind of surprised is how much of you all love the velocity banking videos. Because if you look at the top videos here, it's like velocity banking, velocity banking, velocity banking. In fact, the only one that's not about velocity banking is this prepaying utilities with new credit cards. So some of you might be addicted to applying for new credit like I am right now, but velocity banking, everything is about velocity banking, and nobody really seems to care about real estate investing. And this one right here. But anyways, if y'all love watching the content about velocity banking, I'm just going to go ahead and keep making it. So again, like I said before, I can do this all day. So we're going to create a velocity banking spreadsheet from scratch. And what's the two things that I talk about that you need to do velocity banking? Number one is you need that budget, right? You need a budget. And then number two, you need a line of credit, right? So you need a line of credit or your operating account, which will be the line of credit. And so first, let's just go over the budget. So let's just go ahead and highlight this, right? Let's just do this. And then what do we have? We have income, we have expenses, and then we have checking and savings, and then we have cash flow, okay? And then we're gonna have two columns. We're gonna have the average American, not average America, American, and we're gonna have the velocity banking American, okay? And so now here we're just going to write our income. So we always like to use the same figures over and over again. And again, there's nothing wrong with that because practice is repetition is the mother of all learning. So I'll just do 5,000 here. Expenses 3,000. Checking savings 2,000. Right. So just this is actually not even the average American because the average American can't even come up with $2,000 in savings or checking every month. They did a Federal Reserve study back 10 years ago, and people are like, yeah, or the Federal Reserve found out, like, yeah, average Americans living almost paycheck to paycheck. So it's almost unrealistic, but let's just assume we're here, right? And then we put zero cash flow. Now, why do we put zero cash flow? Because really, your money's just parked. It's kind of like putting your money in a 401k, but not really. Like, with the 401k, you can't even touch it unless you have pay taxes and penalties until you're 59 and a half. Really, I know there's some exceptions, but that's the general rule. Same thing with the checking savings for the way that the average American treats it. And why do I say that? Because I talked to some of you over the Zoom calls, and this is what you told me. Like, for example, let's say you're in a situation where you have like 20K in your checking and then 20K in credit cards, right? I've talked to plenty of people like this. And I'm kind of confused because it's like, okay, you have 20,000 in checking and you're doing really well, but that checking or savings is at 0.0001% interest on a good day. Although I've seen some 5% interest savings accounts recently online, but just in general, it's like 0.001%. Now, here's the thing. Even in the best situation where it's like a 5% savings, this is like 20 to 30. So if you're just holding here, making minimal interest and you have expenses that are interest at 20, 30, why wouldn't you just pay this off? And that's why we kind of consider this to be a zero cash flow situation, especially if you have debt, right? So make sure you get rid of that debt. Okay, so now let's just go do this. So what we're going to do is have an expense breakdown, right? And what we have to do is list all of our expenses and make sure it equals 3,000. Now I'm going to make this easy for you. All you have to do is just list your debts and then your rent and then all the other items just kind of estimate. So um, every debt has to be its own single line item in your expense breakdown because if it's not, we don't know what's happening with our cash flow because every debt that we have is just cash flow that we need to recover once it's eliminated. So if you don't know what I mean, I'll show you what I mean. So let's list our debts. So we have student loan, we have auto loan. Everybody these days, they go to college and get student loans, although in my opinion, I don't think it's worth it. So student loans, we'll just say put some averages and we'll say, hey, this is going to be uh, what $400 a month, and then we'll put 10K balance and put 6% interest rate, although it might differ from the type based on the type of loan. And then another thing that we'll do is we'll have something similar with the auto loan, right? So the auto loan, I heard that the average auto loan is actually $800 a month these days, but we'll just put 600, and then we'll put a 13K balance. And then what else are we going to do? We're going to put our rent. Everybody knows their rent, and then other expenses. We're just going to kind of lump it together: food, gas, insurance, right? And et cetera, et cetera. So here's the thing, if I'm going to go on a random tangent, but if you drive a car, make sure you get insurance, because the cops, and this isn't like a recent thing, have these devices where they can check if you have auto insurance. It's like every time you pass, the scanner comes by, or the scanner reads your plates, and then if you don't have insurance, they actually arrest you. It's insane. Like, for not having insurance, like, is that a crime worthy of you to go to jail? But apparently they think it is. Like, I think there are much more serious things that people do that would require you to go to jail, but apparently the police don't think so. All right, so back to my point. So we have our student loan, auto loan, rent, other food, gas, insurance, right? And let's just put this here. So we have $400 a month in student loan, $600 a month in auto. Oh, not 6,000. And then we'll say rent is 1,000, right? For other is 1,000. And you'll notice if you combine the total of these up, this actually is supposed to equal our expenses, right? Now, we have our budget. Now what do? We have to have our line of credit. So usually you need good credit, you need a little bit of income. So we have decent income, $5,000. And let's say we go to our local bank, credit union, or whoever, we apply online, and the bank says, okay, you can borrow up to $25,000. Oh, this is the wrong one. So 25,000. Let's do this. Let me copy this. Okay. So 25,000. And let's just say, hey, the bank's letting you borrow up to 25,000. Now, what does that mean? You go to the bank's website, you click a button, and then boom, you can deposit $25,000 in your checking account with a click of a button, right? Now, okay. So let's go ahead and also put the interest rate. So usually with lines of credit, the interest rate is about like 10 to 15%. Sometimes they have promotional rates. It's like 0 or 0.99. Okay. Oh, first of all, I didn't even say what is a line of credit. All it is a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and reuse it over and over again. So if you have a credit card, that's a line of credit, right? Almost everybody has a credit card. If you don't, then apply for one if you need one, or if you think you need one, or do whatever it is what you want to do. Again, not giving financial advice here. Okay, so this is our main operating account. And so the average American, they pay things from their checking account. So they pay things from here. And again, I know it doesn't seem like a big deal. It's like, isn't that how things are normally done? Yes, but we're going to kind of re-optimize things so we can have more control of our money and pay off our debts quickly, right? So question I'll ask you is, how can we easily pay off, let's say, $23,000 of debt under a year? Now, for most Americans, $23,000 of debt in 1 year is mind-blowing, right? But we're going to show you how to do it, okay? So now let's go ahead and do this. We'll say, so we're going to do $5,000 income right here. Expenses, so let's leave that for now. Checking savings, we're going to put to 0, because if we do velocity banking, we're not going to have any checking savings. And then we're going to see what happens when we kind of re-optimize things. So let's do this. We're going to kind of re-optimize, but we need to use our line of credit. So we have the ability to dump up to $25,000 in our checking account at 15% interest. Now, some of you might think, wow, 15% interest, isn't that kind of a lot? Well, it depends. What are we using for? Are we using it for just to kind of, do frivolous expenses, or are we using it to pay off our debts, right? Okay, so now let's see what we can do here. So now we have these two loans, the student loan, the auto loan. And what if we do this? What if we go to the bank's website, say, hey, bank, give me 23,000 and dump into my checking account, and we'll click the button. So let's do that, 23,000, right? So now we have 23,000 in checking account. Now we have a balance on the line of credit of 23,000, okay? Now we have the 23,000. Now we can go ahead and pay these off. And so this is going to be 0, and this is going to be 0, and then this is going to be 0, right? For now. But the rent and the other, those expenses are always occurring. They're always the same, right? Okay. So now let's take a look at what happened. So originally we had $3,000 expenses. Now we have $2,000 in our budget of expenses. And what is our cash flow? It's $3,000, right? And so the idea is that you're going to put your entire paycheck to this line of credit to do two things: to satisfy the minimum monthly payment and to minimize the interest, right? Because the interest is calculated by the average daily balance. So the moment that you dump that paycheck, it's going to be 18,000, and eventually you're going to have to take out the expenses, the $2,000 expense from your line of credit, and approximately after every month, it's going to go down about 3,000, right? So now it's going to, let's just do this. So there'll be G2, no, G3, no, G2. I'm going crazy. It doesn't have the Excel minus 3,000. The Excel highlights. Oh, it kind of does, but not really. Okay, and so now let's see how long it's going to take us to pay off our debt. So again, we put our $5,000 paycheck here, and then eventually we take off our expenses, and then by the next month, it's going to go down about $3,000 because our expense is only 2,000, right? And then we just keep rinse and repeat over and over again. And then so this is going to be 0 for practical purposes, and even though it's a negative 1,000. And let's see how much time it took us. So we'll say this is starting month 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 months, right? Wow, only 7 months. That's crazy. I thought it was going to take 8. Well, we'll just put 8 right here, right? Okay, so now we have to calculate the interest, okay? So let's calculate the interest. So to calculate the interest, well, I'll just say accrued interest. Or I'll just say, actually, let me just calculate this or rename this to say interest rate. So to calculate the interest, all it is you take the previous month's balance, multiply the interest rate, and divide it by 12. Now, this is technically wrong because it's done by the average daily balance, but because we don't know the exact day when expenses are accrued, we're just going to estimate by the previous months. So all we do is we just take G2 times 0.15 divided by 12. Okay. And then we just copy and paste that formula. And then now we go ahead and sum up the interest. So what we do is we just do a formula of equals sum, right? H2 to H11. And then we can see it costs us about $1,250, okay, in interest. Now, we're kind of actually overstating the interest because, again, we're minimizing the average daily balance by putting the entire paycheck. But again, we paid off about $22,000 about 7, 8 months, right? I mean, do you know anybody who's paid off that much debt that quickly? I don't know, but it seems like really, really, it seems a lot faster, right? So, whenever I hear like, oh, $20,000, $24,000 of debt, that doesn't seem like that much to me anymore. And so if you, buy a brand new car and just kind of use this strategy, then you wouldn't really be, you instead of paying it in 5 years, which is like the average car note, you paid it under about 1 year. Now, here's the thing. I haven't bought a new car ever in my life, and I have a 2003 Camry, so it may not apply to me. But hey, when I do buy a car, this is definitely applied to me. But look how easy that was, right? So again, the strategy is that you're going to use your line of credit as your main operating account. You dump your paycheck in here, you take out your expenses, and then approximately it's going to go down about 3,000 after every month, right? And then interest accrues, but you can either add it at the time, but then I like to kind of calculate it separately just because it's a little bit easier to visualize it. And you could just add it at the end too. So add the 1,250 at the end, and that's going to be about 8 months. But that's all it costs you to pay off the debt, about $1,000. And it wasn't really that hard, right? And I can do this all day because it's really easy. In fact, I've made so many velocity banking videos, I'm just going to make them over and over and over again just because all of you love them. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So once you've paid this debt off, the balance of this is now zero. This is our current balance of the line of credit. So if we don't have any more debts, then what's going to happen is that we're going to have actual true cash flow. So we're not going to be in that situation where you have $20,000 checking and $20,000 in credit card bills. Although that's actually a pretty decent position to be in, right? But we actually have true cash flow, and it's going to kind of seed our checking savings account, maybe for down payments, maybe for whatever, spend money. We're not actually going to be in debt anymore, but after every month now we're going to have 3,000 come in, and then next month it'll be 6,000, and then 9,000, and then before you know it, we're gonna be in an awesome situation, right? So, and this is only after 4 months. $12,000 in 4 months, that's insane. But that's the power of this, right? So you easily control your cash flow and you dump your paycheck. And the thing is that most Americans are scared to overpay any of their debts, because what happens when you overpay a debt? You can never, or especially a loan, not a credit card, you can never get that money back. And that's what the banks want. They just want debt to sit there so they increase interest. And it's the same situation where you have $20,000 in checking and $20,000 in credit cards. They want the balance just to sit there so that interest accrues again and again and again. And so people who have checking and savings but still have debt, they're I think this is what Robert Kiyosaki says, they're suckers. I wouldn't say that just because I'm a little bit nicer. That's what I'm quoting Robert Kiyosaki. All right, so hope this has been helpful. Again, I'll probably do another video like this, and I can do this all day. If you're interested in joining our group, go ahead and click the Google form link below. If you want to actually send your spreadsheet, go ahead and email us by going to the About section of the YouTube page. Also, if you want to join the YouTube channel membership, it's only 99 cents a month, and if once I have one person actually join, that's when I'm going to do an exclusive live stream. But until then, I'm just going to relax because, no need to work hard for 99 cents. But again, it's for you, not for me. All right. Have a great day, everybody, and we will speak next time.